Welcome to This Explainer. Let's jump right in, because today we are tackling a massive pain point that practically all of us have faced at some point: analysis paralysis with our money. Picture this. You're staring at a massive, aggressively color-coded spreadsheet, desperately trying to figure out where your paycheck went, only to completely give up and go buy an overpriced coffee out of pure frustration. Yeah, we've all been there. Well, today, we're radically simplifying things. We are tossing out those exhausting tracking methods and swapping them for a single, brilliant strategy straight from the Capital Mind wealth architecture. It is time to finally solve your money problems with a super simple, one-page financial plan.
But seriously, before we get into the how, we gotta ask, why do most financial plans fail in the first place? I mean, why are there so many high-earning professionals pulling in thousands every single month, but they still feel totally broke and live paycheck to paycheck? Honestly, it almost always comes down to what happens when life gets stressful. You might stick to this hardcore, rigid budget for a week, maybe a month if you're lucky, but then an unexpected life event hits. Your car breaks down, or maybe you just have a truly terrible Tuesday at work. Suddenly, you're on an emotional stress spending spree, ordering expensive takeout, and just like that, your super strict financial system completely crumbles. You abandon the budget entirely because, let's face it, it just requires way too much daily mental energy to keep up.
And that brings us right to the root of the problem. On one side, you've got the complex spreadsheet. It's exhausting, it's chaotic, and it literally demands that you categorize every single $4 coffee across 15 different tabs. No thanks. On the other side, the elegant, immediate relief of a one-page plan. Financial planning is actually supposed to be simple. When you rely on those crazy, complex models, you're practically setting yourself up for failure, because absolutely nobody has the time or the energy to act like a full-time accountant for their own life.
So here is the absolute most crucial takeaway. Stop overcomplicating your finances. Seriously, complexity is the enemy of action. When your financial system is that rigid and demanding, it is inevitably going to snap under the pressure of your busy life. Building true wealth actually requires stripping away all that complexity. If your plan is too complicated to understand at just a quick glance, you're just not going to use it. We need to completely pivot from this obsessive to the penny planning into immediate real-world execution.
All right, let's get into Section 1, the core framework, which breaks down into 4 simple steps.
We're taking that intense daily money management and replacing it with this bare-bones framework. These 4 actionable steps are literally your entire one-page plan. Step 1, set clear goals. You got to define exactly what you want to build. Step 2, list out your income streams. Just know exactly what's actually coming in. Step 3, map your exact expenses. And I don't mean every tiny little purchase, just your core fixed overhead. And Step 4, this is really where the magic happens. Schedule your automatic investments. Having this level of clarity completely eliminates the guessing game. You literally never have to wonder if you can afford something again because you've already mapped the actual reality of your cash flow right here on one page.
Which perfectly tees up this powerful idea: execution beats a perfect plan. When you only have one single page to look at, executing your plan becomes incredibly easy. You finally stop guessing with your money and you start directing it. Look, the goal here is not to create some flawless, to-the-penny budget that looks amazing in theory but falls apart in practice. The actual goal is to create a directional map, something you can execute every single day without completely burning out.
Which leads us to Section 2, willpower versus automation and the massive mindset shift you need to make.
See, to make your investments actually happen, you cannot rely on human discipline. Willpower is just highly unreliable. It's a totally limited resource, it's temporary, it completely fails under stress, and it requires so much daily effort. You get tired, you forget, or you just have a bad day. Automated systems, on the other hand, run silently in the background. They don't need motivation, they're permanent, and they require absolutely zero daily decisions from you. The wealthy do not sit around testing their willpower, they design automated decision systems to actively protect themselves from their own emotional spending impulses.
So here is exactly how you build that system. The moment your paycheck arrives, it needs to trigger a chain reaction that requires zero input from you. First, a set percentage auto-transfers straight into your savings. Next, a portion auto-contributes right into your investments. Then, your core bills get auto-paid. And finally, and honestly, this is the absolute best part, you spend the remainder completely guilt-free. You get to just enjoy that leftover cash because your system has already done all the heavy lifting. The consistency is just happening entirely in the background.
I strongly urge you to take action on this today. Sit down, write out your one-page plan, and take absolute control of your cash. Give every single dollar a specific job. Undirected money disappears so incredibly fast. It just leaks out through those forgotten subscriptions and impulsive daily habits. But when you actively assign clear roles to your cash, invest this, save that, pay these bills, you establish control. And that control, that brings true financial peace.
Now for Section 3, the multiplier, also known as the decade trick.
So while your one-page plan handles the daily execution of your money, you still need a long-term psychological timeline to make this whole thing truly explosive. That multiplier is the number 10. This represents the decade trick. See, very few individuals actually think in decades. Most of us are wired to think in single days. But short-term focus absolutely kills long-term gains. The decade trick completely cures that toxic habit of opening your app and checking your stock portfolios every single day. It stops you from panicking during market drops and destroying your wealth by reacting to short-term noise.
Think about it. Thinking in single days creates pure panic. You see a tiny market drop, you freak out, you sell, and you lose. It turns your financial life into a constant day-to-day stress test. But zooming out to decades, that changes the entire game. When you plan 10 years ahead, that long-term perspective completely deletes the daily noise. Suddenly, market drops aren't scary. They become discount sales where you can buy more assets on the cheap. Patient, consistent action makes massive growth mathematically inevitable.
Let's look at how this timeline actually plays out in reality. Day 1, you write your simple one-page plan. Month 1, you fully automate those systems so your money is moving completely on its own. Year 1, you actively practice discipline by completely ignoring the daily market noise. And by year 10, you just allow decades of uninterrupted compound interest to create this completely unstoppable snowball effect for your net worth. It starts deceptively slow, but then it just explodes vertically. So I'm going to leave you with this one question. Will you plan for the next 10 days or the next 10 years? The path to real wealth isn't hiding in some chaotic, exhausting spreadsheet, and it definitely isn't found in a get-rich-quick scheme. It is found in radically simplifying your strategy, automating your behavior, and having the incredible patience to let time do the heavy lifting for you. Ditch the complexity, grab a single piece of paper, and start building your financial foundation today. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.